Hey, what's up, ICT traders? Good to see you back here again. Finally, we are going to talk about draw on liquidity. I've gotten so many questions asking me to make a video about this topic. Now, it is important for you to pay attention to this topic because this is just like the very foundation of smart money concept. If you don't know what liquidity is or how to spot liquidity on your charts, you will have trouble understanding the entirety of the smart money concepts. All right. So you need to pay attention to everything I will be sharing with you in this video. And the thing is that I'm going to go into the very basic. I will explain it to you in such a way that even if you are just a beginner, you will understand what exactly is liquidity. Now, before we get into this video, I want you to just look at this word, draw and liquidity. What actually comes to your mind when you hear the word draw on liquidity? You can just take 3 seconds and respond in your mind. What exactly is draw on liquidity? Perfect. Whatever you give it, it's fine with me. Now we have 2 words here. We have draw and we have liquidity. Before now, I told you that the way I define liquidity in simple terms is money. And this money is in form of people's stop losses, pending orders, or intending positions. I will show you that once we go deep into this. But liquidity in simple terms is money. So when we talk about draw on liquidity, what we are simply saying is attraction towards that money. Price being attracted towards that money. All right, let me simply define it for you so you can see. Here I said draw on liquidity is simply an area in premium or in discount of price points where price has high tendency of approaching. So what I'm saying in simple terms is that liquidity, this thing we call liquidity, is simply money that attracts price towards a direction, because the blood line, or what we call the life-giving factor of market, is liquidity. Listen, if there is no money in this market, me and you, all of us will just close our computers and rest. The reason why we are trading is because there is money to get out of it. And why do we want to do it? It is simply because there is high possibility that we will make that money. So the smart money know this. Every other trader knows that there is money in the market, but where is the money seated? That is the question. So liquidity is simply pending orders above highs and below lows. In order to shorten this entire definition, I've given this particular sketch that I want to show you. So look at this. Can you see this box where I put discount here and premium right here? So right here is where the liquidity is. Actually, I will show you the locations where liquidity can be found. Almost everywhere on the chart, liquidity can be found, but where there is high concentration or massive number of liquidity is where we're going to put our efforts on. So right here we see price has been drawn through this area where there is liquidity. I put this money right there so you can easily understand. So this place is what we call draw on liquidity, where price is approaching, where price is targeting to go to, because there is high number of liquidity or there is high number of pending orders. All right. So price is being drawn to that location. It's just like a magnet. When you keep a magnet close to different metals, they get attracted to the magnet. So price gets attracted here. Immediately after price gets attracted to that money, if it clears the money here, where do you think is the next location where price will go to? Obviously, where there is another high chances of finding money. Where can we find them? As simple as that. We can find liquidity above or below equal highs or equal lows, above or below monthly highs or monthly lows, above or below weekly highs or weekly lows, above or below daily highs or daily lows previously. If price prints that, there is high chances of finding liquidity. You don't have to worry. Once I get to my chart, you will have the best explanation. So let me show you something right here. Remember that we said price moves exponentially. If you see price does something like this, boom, to this area. As soon as price starts retracing, what do we call this place? This place becomes an old high. Let me show you. This becomes an old high. So what do you think is above this high? Quickly answer it. What do you think is above this high? It is called liquidity, money. In form of what? Stop losses. If somebody is selling here, definitely somebody is selling. All the people selling here, their stop losses is gonna be above these areas. Boom. All these areas. All these areas. So which one do you think has more chances of attracting price, since price is so interested in getting more money? As soon as price comes here, now I'll come back to the concept of internal and external range liquidity, but then I'm just telling you, boom, price targets the money. Now this is now what we call the draw on liquidity here. The high that was left becomes a draw on liquidity. It attracts price to get that money out of that place. As soon as price is done with that, it looks for an opportunity to locate what we call internal range liquidity. But then let me go and show you what I wanted to tell you first. Remember, I told you these are the areas we can find liquidity, including fair value gaps, PD arrays, in premium or discounts. You know what the PD array is? It's simply the 7 institutional reference points: your breaker block, mitigation block, order block, liquidity pool, rejection block, old high, old lows. All these institutional reference points can be your liquidity pool. It can attract price into them. When I go to the next slide, this brings us to the two expressions of liquidity. Remember, I told you that we have something called the external range liquidity. Is simply liquidity that is outside a particular price range. And then the internal range liquidity, where can we find them? Now listen, when price moves, boom, creating this high, as soon as it comes down, you see all the money left above the stop losses, pending orders, buy stops, sell stops. This is the draw on liquidity, and that becomes the external range liquidity between this range here. This is the low of the range, this is the high of the range. In simple word, when you go to the FIP levels, remember when we do something like this, when we say we have price range, all right, the price range is simply the low and the high. All right, so anything outside this range, guys, I hope you will understand this, it's called external range liquidity, whether below it or above it. This is external range liquidity, external range, external range, external range. So price is targeting this external and internal range liquidity. All right, so if you understand this, you will easily know what price is doing. When you see price coming back inside the range, it is now coming for internal range liquidity. And where did we say we can find them? PDRs, fair value gaps that are in premium or discounts. I hope you're understanding this. All right. So when price is coming back inside the range after breaking out of it, it is simply coming for internal range liquidity in form of any of the PD arrays, whether a breaker block, an order block, a mitigation block, a whatever it is that price is coming into. So these are the two expressions of liquidity. So if we know that liquidity can be found in these locations, whether externally or internally, then when we see price moving, there are two things that price does. If you have not learned anything in this my video, at least learn this simple concept I want to give you. There are two things price does in the market. It is either price is balancing inefficiencies. Do you know what inefficiencies are? Your fair value gaps, your liquidity voids, especially the imbalances. That's the fair value gap. It's what we call inefficiencies in the market. So it's either price is balancing inefficiencies or price is targeting liquidity. Nothing outside of this. It is either price is trying to balance fair value gaps, let me go straight away, or targeting liquidity. Okay, how do I mean? If price, let me give you an example. Perfect. Listen to this. Can you see this price movement? Let me start from here. Let me use the play bar. All right. So when price left this high, what was in your mind? Above here was liquidity. Above there was liquidity. So price quickly came, shifted structure, but in other sense, that is liquidity being swept. All these areas, including this miniature or these little highs and all those areas, they are liquidity. In as much as you cannot recognize them as powerful as that, but they have certain degree of liquidity. It's just like, okay, the liquidity concept is just like when you have, let's say when you have something like this, a box like that, and let's see if I can get this perfectly. Okay, perfect. So when you have a box like that and you have some little areas, let's say we have money here in, whoa, this is too big. Let me reduce it. Oh, I wish I can do that easily. I thought this is done easily. The turning point. Okay, perfect. I'm able to reduce it easily. So when you have price like this, at some point, you see on inside this box, we have some parts that have high number of liquidity. Let me take it back. More here. So inside this box, this portion has little, this much. So if you were the one, assuming you are here and you were asked to go for the best, which one do you think you will locate? Definitely here. So that is what price is doing. In as much as these places have money, but this one will satisfy you the most. So that is why price is always attracted to places where there is high chances of finding this high liquidity. It's not like price is doing anything outside this. All right. So once price is done with liquidity externally, which is this, as soon as it is done, price will now start locating inefficiencies to balance. Why? Because even inside inefficiencies, there are liquidity, which we call internal range. I wish you are learning this. Internal range. All right. So as soon as price begins to come back, what did we say it would do? Balance inefficiencies. We have inefficiency number 1. We have inefficiency number 2. We have inefficiency number 3. And if you look closely, I love locating these kind of areas. If you look very closely, I think there is a little inefficiency here. Very small. Very small. You need to train your eyes to see it. All these inefficiencies, price would love to balance them. And this is what we call the internal range liquidity. And those of you who want to trade with this idea is that you are not going to trade anything in the premium, because we are now bullish after the shifting structure, which came in as a liquidity grab above that drawn liquidity here. What do? The discount area now becomes more attractive and productive. So if price comes here, am I going to buy? No. If price comes here, am I going to buy? No. Extremely. becomes the best point. When price is completely done with all the inefficiencies, now you can have rest of mind to buy. Not like you're doing something outside knowledge. So, price seeks to do two things. Now, inefficiency number 1 balanced, inefficiency number 2 balanced, inefficiency number 3 balanced. And now, we see price, it left this one. This should have something in your mind. It should tell you that something is about to happen. There is manipulation. Now, price left a low here, and inefficiency. What did we say is under a low? Liquidity, money. What is inside inefficiency? Money. So, if you are buying here, and you are just at the equilibrium point, not so deep into the last point, I would love you to trade. Whenever you're trading, make sure that price is done with all the inefficiencies, especially when you have two inefficiencies, one above, one below. No, don't use the one above. Use the one below, because chances are that price will later come down here and take it up. I'm even digressing into another topic. This is totally out of this particular topic. I'm teaching you inducement now, all right? So, if price comes, you now see, price didn't leave it. Price had to come down and do the work, balancing it. Next point now, do you have another fair value gap? Definitely no. What is the next point? What did we say? Targeting draw on liquidity. Targeting draw on liquidity. That is the next point for price. So what do? If you know this is the next point for price, then you will understand that it is best to buy in this discount. And I'm not teaching you entry, I'm just teaching you what liquidity and all those. You see? Done. It is done. Price is done with the work. What next remains? Target the next point, or do the next right thing. Inefficiencies. Now, it is left for you now to start looking for all the inefficiencies. Inefficiency number 1, inefficiency number 2, inefficiency number 3, all of it. Price begins to balance them. Now, there are so many modalities to this. It's not just something blindly, but then I will find time and do the videos of how you can remove an entry with this kind of information. You don't just do it blindly. You need to have some kind of understanding of how to do it. All right. So price, right? I think it's the right time for the inefficiencies to start getting balanced. So when you see price is doing this, and there are 2 or 3 ways price balance inefficiencies. It's either you use the IOFED, or which is basically the tip. Okay, the tip or the first half of the inefficiency, because inefficiency have the 50% is called consequent encroachment. This one, CE, when price use the 50% is fine, or if price decides to fully fill it, is also nice, or price uses the tip or the first half. There are 3 ways. I will teach you how to use, or which of them is best, or how to use them in the subsequent videos. If you want me to do that video, you can let me know in the comments, and I will tell you what to do with your fair value gap. All right, I will make the video and I will title it what to do with your fair value gap. So price is balancing inefficiencies. Like this one, you see price is responding to the 50% of that particular fair value gap. 50% of that particular fair value gap. Do you know why price may hardly, and now this is very important, very, very important. Let me just say, if price reverses, let me show you that, so you will know what I'm saying. Perfect. So you see what price did? Did you see what price did? Price did the 50%. Why price was responding from this area? Notice what happened. Notice what happened if you extend this line. the bodies of the candles were closing above this 50%. If you look closely, you will find a bullish breaker here. All right, a bullish breaker. And what did we say about PD-ARRAY? PD-ARRAY is simply a sequential arrangement of the 7 institutional reference points in order of their importance. So when you have a breaker, even though we have a fair value gap below here, breaker always is preferable to price than a fair value gap. But then you don't just enter. This is where you need to know about the 2 time frame rule entry protocol, which maybe you will find it on my YouTube channel, definitely. All right, I'm just showing you some of these things that you should look out for. So breaker was responded from, price responded from the breaker, obviously we can see, and price decides to start pushing up. And guys, this is some of the things you should know about liquidity. I just tried to just give you explanations. If you find this video really helpful, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and invite people. Those of you who are hiding me, you don't want people to discover me, please do so. Invite somebody to come and learn, and then we grow together. All right, thank you very much, guys. Trading can be so interesting if you know these things and you keep learning, building them. But at some point, definitely you need to know these things. All right, so thank you very much, guys. I'll be ending the video here. See you in the next video I'll be making. All right, let me know which video you want me to make in the comments and I'll do it gladly. Thank you.